Fox Sports welcomes you to North Wilkesboro, North Carolina, and the NASCAR All-Star Race heat races. Well, a little heat in this racetrack is just what we need, because about an hour ago, Mother Nature decided to wreak havoc on the weekend after the truck race concluded, and we got a little bit of a sprinkle, and there's a little more to come. That's what it looked like. The track is drying nicely. Problem is, you can't use the jet dryer here because that old surface might come up. The fans are hardy. They are weather ready, and so are the teams. NASCAR has ordered the wet weather Goodyear Eagle Racing tires installed on the Heat 1 cars so that as soon as the sprinkles stop, they'll be able to get out there and get that track dried sooner, and, well, who knows? We might even see a green flag. A lot of possibilities, a lot of combinations to work through here. We had the Pit Crew Challenge yesterday, which set the field for these heats. 2 heats to set the starting lineup for tomorrow's All-Star Race. Mike Joy, Larry McReynolds, Clint Boyer with you. Just wondering what will happen next.
I think we're going to go for it, Larry. I mean, these are the conditions, right? They talk about we don't want our guys out in rain conditions. We've seen what happens there. Too much, the spray behind the cars, visibility is poor. This is not conditions. This is wet conditions, not rain. Very little rain, just a little bit of a drizzle. I think we're going to go green. How do you make North Wilkesboro on this old wore-out surface any crazier?
Wet weather tires.
Put on a little rain on it.
But the key is they're wet weather tires. They're not rain tires, and that's exactly to your point, Clint. The conditions we have right now. And I go back a few weeks ago, we ran those tires right there at the beginning of the truck race at Martinsville, and I thought the racing was great. So I think this is a great opportunity to maybe try this on the Cup Series cars.
Just a few cars, right? 2 heat races right here. So very important. I think you're still got a set lane, right, Larry? I think you'll still, if there's a caution halfway through, maybe even 10, 20 laps in, with only 10, 11 cars on the racetrack, they're definitely going to make, a pit stop in that scenario. So, man, I love it. I think this is going to be exciting. This place has been hot, slick, all over the place, and this truck race earlier today was a phenomenal race with Kyle Larson winning that thing at the end. But these boys are going to have their hands full in these heat races. You can promise that.
Now, the last time we had a similar scenario, the concern was drying pit road, and that won't be much of a problem here. Even though the old surface is on the racetrack, the pit boxes are brand new concrete, and pit road is brand new asphalt, so they can run the jet dryers, they can run the air Titans, and get that area completely dry and ready for pit stops. So these heat races, 60 laps each, 11 cars in one, 10 in the other, because there are 21 drivers already qualified for the All-Star race. And what about strategy? You're going to have wet weather tires, you're going to have 1 set of slicks, and another set in the box.
Well, I do want to see one of these races in the dry, because that's going to set the strategy up, I think, for tomorrow night's All-Star race in the open. And I know going through the garage area this morning, there was a lot of crew chiefs had a lot of different things on their minds to do with the dry tires, with the slick tires, that they can learn for tomorrow night. So I want to see one race in the wet, but I want to see one race in the dry with the slicks.
Wait a minute, Larry. You're looking for the easy answers. There's nothing going to be easy about this. They're going to run under this rain condition or wet weather condition, and I don't think they're going to learn much for tomorrow night. And that's why
forecast looks good for tomorrow.
I cannot
We're good
wait
tomorrow
to see that go down. Glad we're up here, not down behind the wheel of one of the things.
Glad I don't have to make those decisions.
A very unique racetrack and a huge crowd on hand this afternoon for the truck race. And, of course, right now they've all sought cover, but they'll be in the stands and ready for NASCAR's return to North Wilkesboro and tonight's All-Star qualifying heat races. Waiting out a few raindrops. My son would say that's a Northeastern Husky, and the people I grew up around would say it's a Yukon Husky. It looked like a Chase Elliott souvenir to me. Putting the raincoats away and getting ready for today's heat races. We got to set the lineup for the All-Star race. We start out with last year's and this year's race winners, former Cup champs and past All-Star winners. And the lineups for these 2 heat races, 60 laps each, were set from last night's Mechanics Wear Pit Crew Challenge. Heat 1 will set the inside lane for the starting lineup for the All-Star race, and Heat 2 will set the outside lane. Then there's the open for drivers attempting to qualify for the All-Star race, 100 laps, top 2 finishers, and the fan vote winner will advance, giving us 24 cars for 200 laps in the All-Star race tomorrow with $1 million on the line. Let's join Jamie Little.
And Chase Briscoe is officially in the All-Star race thanks to his win at Phoenix last year. And Chase, you just got the word. You guys may have to go out there and race with this wet weather package. What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I'm actually super excited to climb into this highpoint.com Ford. You know, we're already here. There's no points. I feel like it's kind of the perfect storm to kind of try this. We have the wet weather package for a reason, the rain tires for a reason on an oval. So, yeah, I'm probably the only guy in the field that's actually excited to do this. Yeah, I'm just looking forward to it. It's something totally new. You know, coming back here is kind of totally new. And, yeah, I mean, we got a lot of race fans here that want to see racing. And whether it's wet or dry, I think we need to give it to them.
Well, this is the first time that you've automatically been in the All-Star. What does racing in the All-Star race mean to this team, and especially at this place?
Yeah, it's special, especially, you know, coming here and doing it. I think it makes it even more special because, you know, there's 24 guys that are going to get a race in that race. You know, there's, you know, a lot of guys that are going to go home that are wishing they were going to get in that. So for us to be in it, it's super special, especially being here, all the history that comes along with this place. So I know that I'm very excited that I'm one of the 24 guys in the field that's going to get to run this race tomorrow night. And, yeah, just honored to be a part of it. It feels like an inaugural event. I know it's far from inaugural, but it definitely feels like that. So I'm just excited to be a part of it. And, yeah, looking forward to seeing what we can do.
I like your positive attitude. Good luck.
Appreciate it.
Regan?
Well, Jamie, Joey Logano knows how to win an All-Star race, the 2016 winner of the All-Star event. Joey, I was standing with you a few moments ago. We were kind of questioning what was going to happen. Then we got the call to throw the rain tires on these race cars. A lot of new this weekend. What are you thinking about this?
Why not add some more new while we're already at it? New at old tracks at North Wilkesboro, which is pretty cool. We're here. I mean, hey, I don't know what to think at this point. We'll get out there and see what it's got. Unfortunately, probably wouldn't learn much for tomorrow's race, racing in the rain, but it is what it is. We'll go out there and try to win it. Heat race is still important, just like the feature, right? Every spot's worth 2 spots in the heat race, so you got to try to maximize this as best you can and get that track position so you can manage your race tomorrow. It's going to be so important. You get back in the pack, it's really hard to manage your tires, so staying towards the front, especially in the heat race, will be key.
We did this a few weeks ago with the Truck Series at Martinsville, put these rain tires on. Did you watch that? Did you learn anything from that you can use in a minute?
We just rewatched it. It's right there, actually, seeing how it all went and what we're up against. So, you know, it's all you can do at this point, right? We don't have any history ourselves to go back down and you know, besides going to looking at the test at Martinsville when they tried the rain tires here, Austin Cindric did it, so we can look at what he did there. And, yeah, besides that, it's kind of cross your fingers and hope for the best and see what happens when you get down into turn 1. So the good thing is there's a lot of really good race car drivers out there, and we're all probably going to figure it out.
Hey, enjoy turn 1. We're going to have fun watching it when we get there.
Might be better in your view.
Thanks, Joey.
Well, it's going to be fun. Now, we were talking about Martinsville when the trucks actually ran on the NASCAR does not call them rain tires. They call them wet weather tires. They won't start this race if it's raining. But if the track is still damp and not completely dry, they'll put those treaded Goodyear Eagle Racing tires on. They'll light up the rain lights on the back and go racing. And that's what we expect is going to happen here as pit crews start to make their way out to pit road, dry their pit stalls, and set up to go racing in North Wilkesboro. Welcome back to the All-Star qualifying heat races. Here in North Wilkesboro, Daniel Suarez looking things over. Wet weather tires are fitted to his Camaro, as they are to all of the 11 cars that are going to compete in heat number 1. 2 heats tonight, 60 laps each to set the starting lineup for the All-Star race. Heat number 1 lines up with Suarez on the pole because his pit crew did a great job last night, and Chase Elliott alongside, who won here in 2010 in the late models at age 14.
Keep an eye on that second row, Denny Hamlin. Them Gibbs cars have been fast, very fast in practice. All the Toyotas, as a matter of fact. 2311, pretty impressive. But Denny Hamlin's the guy I'm watching.
Austin Cindric in the 2 has more wet weather experience than probably anybody on that grid. Regan.
Well, Mike, he does, absolutely. And in fact, I know that Chase Briscoe was excited that we were getting ready to do a little wet weather racing, but I said, well, I got to find the other guy that's equally as excited. That's you, Austin Cindric. You've got laps with this rain tire already. What's the Cup car going to be like with it?
Cup car in North Wilkesboro is a lot different than Martinsville, I can tell you that. But no better time than the present to try this out. I'd rather do it in a non-points scenario. If it goes bad for me tonight, I'm still in the show for tomorrow, and doesn't really affect too much. Still have a shot at $1 million. So we have the kind of fishing water camo on our Keystone Light Ford Mustang. So we're already one with the surface as it sits, but we got wipers and flaps and all of it ready to go. So let's do it.
You mentioned the Martinsville test. That's where you got the laps with this particular package, and you helped develop this package. What is the concepts that the drivers are going to have to do in the corners different than what you were doing yesterday when it was dry out?
Well, honestly, a lot of the same but different. You know, yesterday we were hunting a lot of the patches. Everyone saw in the truck races going anywhere there's fresh asphalt. The problem is there's about 30,000 different sealer patches on this racetrack that probably don't have a lot of grip. And they're all very unavoidable, whereas Martinsville, it's probably a little bit different. You're just trying to keep it in between the painted lines. So there's a certain level of uncertainty that everyone has to deal with when you go racing in the rain, but definitely don't view myself as an expert of it, but gonna be smarter about it in some sense afterwards.
Well, I hope you're an expert, because they're about to strap you guys into these race cars. Good luck here in just a minute. Jamie?
Well, Kevin Harvick, he's going to be in his final All-Star race tomorrow night. And how about this? You get to jump in your car right now. How do you approach this with a wet racetrack?
Well, I'm not super thrilled. I'll be honest with you. I don't really like it, but I think it's a good opportunity to learn something. So we'll go out, and I'm glad it's here, and we have a way to learn. So we'll see what happens, and it's not raining right now, so it should dry pretty quick.
All right, remember, race fans, he's in the 29, not the 4 this weekend.
Right, Jamie, and I went out to his souvenir trailer. Andy Jeffers and I took a walk out there this afternoon, and the Kevin Harvick number 29 merchandise sold out. They've been calling the plant, can you make us more for tomorrow? The response to Kevin running the car number that he first drove in the Cup Series for Richard Childress in 2001 has just been tremendous.
But you mark my word, when he's standing in this booth a year from now, he'll be going, put the wet weather tires on. Let's get after it.
Look at me, man. You drink the Kool-Aid pretty quick. It's a lot different on this side of the fence.
All right, they have dried pit road and still doing a little work out on the racing surface as the fans begin to file back into the grandstand. Hey, blue sky to the west. Let's go racing. The last North Wilkesboro race was 1996. The track opened in 1947. Cup racing started in 1949. And except for 1 year, they hosted 2 races per season. Richard Petty won 15 here. Darrell Waltrip, 10 victories, many of those for Junior Johnson. And in 1996, Jeff Gordon got the 19th of his 93 Cup wins in the final Cup race at North Wilkesboro. Everybody knew the track was going away. The dates were moving to bigger markets, one in the Northeast and one out west. So this would be the final race. And Jeff Gordon pulled that rainbow-colored number 24 onto the lift and up to the second-story victory lane. And that was the way it finished after 400 laps at North Wilkesboro. On the reborn, manually operated scoreboard, looks a little like Wrigley or Fenway there. And that's the results of the Tyson 250 truck race.
I sat up there in the suite and watched these guys lap after lap keep changing those by hand. Man, they were busy.
So Kyle Petty once told me, he said they'd come here and, he and the Pearson boys and, Dale Jarrett when they were kids. And after the race, they'd go up and they'd put their dad's car number in all 5 positions. They'd climb down, somebody else would go up there, put their dad's car number in all 5 positions, and so on and so on. This is an interesting racetrack. The lowest point on the track is turn 1, and the highest point is turn 3. Yes, it's tilted. 13-degree banking at both ends of the speedway, but how you get there, well, it's very different.
That's what's crazy to me. The 18 feet of elevation difference between 1 and 2 and 3 and 4.
You can see downhill into one right there. But when you look at the back straightaway and you see that the grandstands are level, that's when it really shows just how uphill it is.
So those grandstands up toward turn number 3.
Right here.
When you see them from the front stretch, it's very easy to see and compare with the red and white striped wall, the difference between here and here. That's only about 9 or 10 feet. Look at the difference there to the other end of that grandstand, which is nearly even with the top of the wall.
Yeah, we would see about 2 to 250 RPM more going down the front straightaway than we see going up the back stretch. Driver would overdrive turn 1 and use a lot more brake getting into turn 1 because you're carrying more speed.
Yeah, fun watching that truck race. I learned a lot watching that truck race. The grip patch, I think that's what's different from today, right? And the way the racetrack races today versus back then in '96 or even before. I think those grip patches through the bottom of left sides, right, and the grip patch in 3 and 4 make a big difference. If you miss that grip patch, you can get the car really gets loose. Everybody would struggle getting into the corner. Then they were in on the apron down in 1 and 2.
Now there's Ricky Stenhouse. He will roll off 6th in his Camaro.
Let's just make sure we all got this right. We are in North Wilkesboro in the rain, getting ready to race. Got that right.
You got it.
Yes.
These tires, I want to say this, it's going to catch you off guard. These things have a lot of grip. First time I was ever on these wet weather tires, I could not believe the grip level that they had in them. I thought I was going to go out there and just slide right off the racetrack. As you can see, not any water standing on the racetrack. It's barely just damp, really.
So 2 60-lap heat races. All the laps count. Heat 1 will set the inside lane for the All-Star race. Heat 2 will set the outside lane. The starting lineup determined from the Pit Crew Challenge last night.
You see the 2 sets of tires allowed. That's the dry weather slicks. This changes the complexity of it just a little bit. And normally when we're in wet weather, possibly going to dry, once we start the race, NASCAR's out of the tire selection business, but they're not going to do that here tonight. If we get to dry conditions, they will throw a competition caution. Everyone will come in non-competitive pit stops and swap over to the slick tires.
I don't think that'll be long. You get these cars, granted there's only 11 of them on the racetrack, but I think as long as it doesn't rain anymore, Larry, it's going to dry out pretty fast. And then how quick will these tires wear out?
So Daniel Suarez, Chase Elliott on the front row, both in Chevrolets. A Ford and a Toyota, row 2. Joey Logano and Denny Hamlin, both past All-Star race winners. Chase Briscoe's Ford, Ricky Stenhouse's Chevy in row number 3. Ford spill row 4. That'll be Austin Cindric and Kevin Harvick, a 2-time All-Star winner. A Ford and a Toyota for row 5. Ryan Blaney and Christopher Bell. Blaney, last year's All-Star race winner. And Eric Jones, who had a 5-second penalty for a loose wheel nut on his pit stop, will start 11th. Let's go to pit road. Jamie.
Well, Mike, one driver to watch is Chase Briscoe. We just heard from him, and not only are short tracks his specialty and this team's, when it comes to the long run in practice, he was one of the top 3 best cars. So keep your eye on the 14. They're going to come in, as Larry just mentioned, take off these wet weather tires. They're going to put the slicks on, and once they drop the green flag, there is a chance you'll see some teams stay out 60 laps, and that's where they will shine. Regan Smith.
Well, Jamie, when you think about old, wore-out racetracks and short tracks in particular, Denny Hamlin has to come to mind. He is so good on both of those things. Spoke to crew chief Chris Gabehart earlier today, asked him if he learned anything from the Truck Series race that took place. He said, yes, he had some questions answered, but has even more questions after that as the trucks were running all over this racetrack, right down on the apron against the wall. He said, I don't know how our cars are going to respond to that. Checked with him as the cars were rolling off again and said, now we got rain. Does that change anything you told me? He said, no, we're still going to find that out as this track dries out and as we get the dry slicks on it at some point during this race.
Well, gravity works. So turn 3 will be the driest part of the racetrack, and if there is any more precipitation, you'll see it first puddle up down in turn 1, the lowest part. Here's some Daniel Suarez audio.
I think this place will have more grip than you imagine. These tires and everything. Yeah, so far, honestly, the racetrack is pretty dry, man. Do you think these tires are going to last? They will throw a caution if it dries out too much, and then have a potential competitive or non-competitive pit stop. That'll be up to NASCAR.
I think that'll be a safety decision, won't it, Larry? If the pit boxes are dry, they'll probably let the guys go out and do a live pit stop. If not, probably non-competitive, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, and I think that's going to be the case. Is they're you know, this pit road, those concrete pit boxes, they were slick last night and it was dry, so they don't want to put these guys in a bad situation. But you see the blinking lights at the top of the back window, below the rear bumper in the center. It's all part of the wet weather package that the teams come to the racetrack with. The windshield wiper, the defogger, the mud flaps behind the left rear and the right rear. That way all they have to do in these conditions is put the wet weather tires on.
How about the Swiffer for the inside of the windshield?
They probably got those as well. That's another form of a defogger.
Still a couple drops on the lens there as we continue under caution, and scoring has not begun. Back in the day, all we had were slick tires, so you'd start the race under a green-yellow condition, which meant that we're counting laps, but you're not racing. And that really didn't satisfy anybody.
It didn't say 1979 Daytona 500?
Yes, you could. Yeah.
I never liked that.
Nope.
Clint, I kind of chuckled a while ago when you talked about the grip strips and all that. When we raced here in the 80s and 90s, we did never see any grip till we got out on Highway 421. There was no grip in this racetrack.
All right, NASCAR is saying 3 more laps, 2 to go now. And then they will wave the green using the wet weather tires, and we'll start counting the 60 laps under green.
I think the pace car sped up just a little bit, trying to let these guys get a little bit of a feel for what they're going to have grip wise.
Yeah, they're checking their pit road speed now at 30 miles per hour. Very long pit road. You enter all the way at the end of the backstretch before turn 3, exits down there in the middle of turn 1.
Did you hear him how he had to slow down when he got on the straight? That was very important. When you have a curve in a pit stop on pit lane, you actually move your lights. Running that arc is very important, whether you run it on the outside, the middle, or on the bottom.
Yeah, they didn't change the configuration of pit road. It is still set up for starting 43 cars as we used to back in the day. That's why you have to enter before turn 3 and exit in the middle of turn number 1 to be able to fit that many pit stalls in a 5/8 mile track. See if they give them one to go here. Suarez has lane choice and he chooses the inside. In the truck race, we saw in a late restart, the first 3 drivers all choose the inside. The 4th place driver, he zoomed up to the outside, and when things settled out, he was 5th.
Yes, yes. Inside's the way to go, no doubt.
All right, we're on 1 to go.
Got to get down fast. You can't get him clear off the 2. You better be down.
11 cars. Of course, everyone is qualified for the All-Star race tomorrow. Nobody goes home. So this is for starting position tomorrow. And as I think Kevin Harvick said, every position you gain moves you up 1 row.
Yeah, there's no way to quantify track position, how important that'll be, even that 200-lap race tomorrow night.
Suarez and Elliott share the front row. The pace car, Chevy Camaro, is on pit road. And we're ready to run heat number 1, green flag.
Trying to roll back outside here, outside bumper.
Chase Elliott is there.
Got a great run on that second groove, and again down in turns 3 and 4, got a great run in that 9 car.
Oh, contact among the leaders as they come up out of 4. Chase sent it in there, and it's stuck. Sure. He's got the lead.
Take it.
Power move, lots of grip.
Hamlin looking for 3rd on the outside, maybe 2nd.
I'm going to put that into these wet weather tires. That is no man's land on slicks. There's no chance you would be up there.
Well, it definitely worked for Chase Elliott. And Denny Hamlin, he's going to make it work on Joey Logano down the back straightaway. He's going to take third away.
Didn't quite get down, trying to get down. Not clear.
Hamlin on the outside. Briscoe drops down. That leaves Harvick alone on the outside as he battles Blaney toward the back.
Ooh, Kevin.
Went way up toward the wall and won. Harvick did in that 29. Well, they're able to use the whole width of the racetrack.
Harvick's doing that on purpose right now. He did the same thing in 3 and 4, up 3 grooves off the bottom.
You ever seen anybody run the fence at North Wilkesboro? Larry?
Well, if you ran the fence in the past, the next thing you hear is a spotter saying, "Are you okay? Will it crank?"
Hold the brakes. That's amazing. That's all on these wet weather tires, guys.
Love it. Hamlin fighting for fourth with Logano.
Now Chase Briscoe in that 14. He's become a player up there behind Logano and Hamlin.
I think these tires are all, I see these cars are tight. These tires don't have any stagger. I'm right on that, right, Larry?
Not as much as the slicks.
Because they run them on the road course as well. That's why these cars are shooting up the racetrack a lot tighter.
Briscoe wants fourth place. He's inside of Hamlin now. Logano has cleared them both.
Kevin Harvick in that 29 car. Boy, that's hard to remember, but he keeps trying the top side, but it's not paying any dividends right now.
All right, Hamlin gives it up. He falls in behind Briscoe in 5th. Blaney in 6th. Cindric, Bell, Stenhouse, Jones, and Harvick.
Amazing to watch these guys run that outside. Been sitting here watching late model races, truck races, practice. Not one car up there unless they were fixing to hit the wall. These guys are preferred groove on the outside, making some hay.
Lap times, I'm seeing lap times like we saw in practice yesterday on the slick, maybe even a little bit quicker. We definitely are faster. We just looked at the practice times from yesterday.
Yeah, about 1.5 tenths quicker than practice.
By 4, nothing keeping up our back. Nice and smooth here, coming to lap 10.
Now, one thing we don't really know, Larry, is how these tires are going to wear over a long run.
Well, we know they're going to wear, especially as the track dries out, because they're treaded. They don't have near as much rubber on the racetrack as the slick. So that's where we got to be really careful as this track really starts to dry out.
And then as a driver, right? All right, well, this is the way the car's handling now. Pretty tight out there. Everybody would assume when you put the slicks on, when the track dries out, the car's going to turn more. Question is, how much more? Do I need to tell this guy to make an adjustment, or where am I at there? A lot of confused cats on this pit road and behind the wheel.
Well, that's where you're going to have to rely on what you had yesterday in practice. Of course, conditions, whether it's slick or wet, it's perfect right now. It's cool. There's no sun. I mean, this is as good as the racetrack's going to be.
Looks that way, but I wasn't sure if he could turn the wheel.
You can see how hard he's turning it. It's really tight there. Hooked that perfect. Kind of diamond in the corner. Hear him jabbing that throttle, trying to get it to turn.
All right, Denny Hamlin is in 6th, and he's drifted back almost into the clutches of Austin Cindric here. And there's Logano with pressure from Chase Briscoe.
Wearing the front bumper out of that Mustang. Pressure, you call it.
Here's the 11.
I can't hear. Is anybody shifting to help it turn? No, I don't think so. We're fine.
Plowing tight, Hamlin says.
Yeah, you can see it. Harvick's really tight as well. By the way, those are the cars that were way up the racetrack using that outside too. Doesn't surprise me. That stagger's very important.
And with these cars being that tight, these wet weather tires wearing, that's where the right front will really start to wear with it being tight.
Briscoe a little impatient with Joey Logano. He's giving him a pop getting into the turn now a couple of times in the last 2 or 3 laps.
That's good old North Wilkesboro racing right there. The way they diamond that 1 and 2, it's all about hooking that apron or not touching the apron. You watch some of these guys clip the apron off of 2, and it really upsets the cars as low as these are.
That's now a 3-car battle for third, joined by Blaney.
That's an option that we watched all day long in that truck race. It's not available with these cars. As low to the ground as they are, they can't, just cross that apron and change, the elevation change in those corners, the banking. These things will bottom out.
Guys, we almost have a battle for the lead. I'm telling you, Suarez right now, his car is really in that 99, really going through the middle of the corner, especially down in turns 3 and 4. He has run Chase Elliott down.
There's that grip patch I was talking about, all the way, left side's all the way around. Interesting thing is, sitting there watching, again, I was watching that truck race in 3 and 4. They were clear down on that concrete.
There is quite a change of angle of the surface, though, from that concrete to the asphalt. The trucks could handle it fine. Not sure about these cars.
You just saw it with Suarez behind him. As soon as he touched that left rear down on that apron, a car came out from underneath of him on the exit of 2. This is good racing. These guys are battling tight conditions. It's pretty evident with all of them. But it's all about how you clip that exit, especially off of 2. That's the one that I see the most.
All right, Larry, we're 1/3 distance. Seen anything odd?
I really don't. I'm amazed, though, at the lap times with these wet weather tires. But as a crew chief, I'm starting to wonder how much those things are wearing as this track is really starting to dry out. That's my biggest concern.
Well, all right. You started, your fastest lap was at 20:42, and you're running 21:09s now.
Boy, Suarez really got through the middle of 1 and 2 good that time. He's able to drive his car so much deeper in than Chase in that 9.
Yeah, but somehow you're going to have to figure out how to get off the corner faster. You're not going to be able to pass him getting in. He's right down on the bottom. You can't go through him. Oops. There, that's how you do it.
I believe he gave him a little bit of a break right there.
If you can diamond that corner up in the middle and get straight shot off, see, that's a great run. Good forward bite out of Suarez.
That pair has half a straightaway on the 3rd place battle of Logano, Briscoe, and Blaney. It's now single file.
He's definitely turning the center a lot better than Chase.
In there.
Oh. One of those, yeah, you hear Chase tap dancing on that gas pedal there. Just like we heard Kevin Harvick, tight. See him get in the middle of the corner, kind of go to a wheel lock, not really sawing on it. That means you're dead tight. The front end just isn't turning, not responding to your input in the wheel. Dead indicator when you see somebody go to a wheel lock and not really move the wheel.
Now. Gonna go for a shallow entry here.
He got into him there.
Got him up the racetrack.
Opened up the door.
That's Wilkesboro, man. Seen that 100 times here. Any old race, you watch at this place. That's how you get it done.
All right, payback time.
I don't know if he's going to be able to get back to Daniel to get a payback. Right. Daniel just drove away from him.
3 laps to halfway.
Those lights blinking in the back of the cars. That would bother me on the racetrack.
You know, those are FIA rain lights. They use them around the world in different forms of racing. Some sanctioning bodies want them on solid. Some want them blinking all the time. I'm with you, Clint. I think that would drive you pretty crazy.
Well, you said it. They're for rain conditions. These aren't even really, we don't even have a mist or anything spraying off the cars. I'd be asking to turn them off.
Jamie Little.
Christopher Bell in 8th right now, and after 32 laps, finally starting to hear chatter about the tires. He's saying the right front tire is just done. He said, I feel like it's about to blow. We need a caution. And weather update, guys, there are some light sprinkles still, as you see it on the windshield right there.
No, there's not. Thanks, Jamie.
What Jamie reported there is exactly would be my concern. These tires wearing worse than the slicks, but these cars being tight, it'll have that right front just chunking.
That's it, Larry. These the tires have blocks of tread. and sipes or grooves in between. So every block of tread has an inner and an outer edge, and that's an opportunity to build heat in either of those areas at every tread block, not just say on the outside edge of a slick tire or inside edge.
Well, that's the
we'll
thing.
see.
Yeah, when they get hot like that, they start blistering. Then they'll start coming apart, and it doesn't wear. You actually get a blister long before the tire wears out.
All right, we have passed through halfway in qualifying heat number 1 for the NASCAR All-Star Race. Chase Elliott led 26 laps. Daniel Suarez has been out in front for the last 5. At lap 33, NASCAR waved the caution flag for non-competitive pit stops to change to slick tires. Because those concrete pit boxes and parts of pit road are not completely dry, NASCAR did not want to put the pit crews at risk with competitive pit stops in this situation. So they are mandating a change to slick tires for the rest of this heat.
And honestly, I think that's the way it should be. Again, those pit boxes were slick last night in total dry conditions, and I just think with the whole circumstances, this was as good a test, though, as we could have ever asked for those wet weather tires and this wet weather package.
Well, and they proved to be good. They proved to do their job. The lap times are actually faster than what we had on slicks.
Well, now they've thrown an audible. They are going to stay on the wet weather tires and allow them to change in a non-competitive situation to check tire wear from the first set and give them a fresh set. Okay.
Well, and we heard some drivers complaining about the right fronts being shot, and that's just from these cars being tight. So we know how far they can run, so we'll be good to the end of this race right here.
So if you look down in the groove, right on the bottom of the racetrack, it's light gray. That means there's still moisture, up in the top. You can see where it's just barely on the bottom starting to dry out. So that's why they elected to stay with the wets. The other thing is 35 laps in, I want to see what these tires look like. Are they getting too hot? Are they blistering? Do I have a problem? Last thing you want to do is have a tire failure because you stayed out too long, knowing that it was in the cards. It could happen. This is the right call.
This is pretty cool. NASCAR has long used their All-Star race as a petri dish for innovation. That's how we got stage racing. It's how we got the choose rule for restarts. And so here is another opportunity with these wet weather tires. And I won't say I'm amazed at how they perform, because Goodyear does a fantastic job for the sport. But I'm excited. This was fun.
But, Mike, you can go test until there's no more tires and no more fuel, but you don't know until you put it in a competitive environment.
Good point, Larry. Jamie.
Well, Mike, it's been really fun listening to the radios and the back and forth and what they think they should do, until NASCAR told them they do have to go from wet tires to wet tires. And the 12 of Ryan Blaney, happy to come in. He said the right front was killed. He's just way too tight. They're going to try to make an adjustment. You see it right there to help him. The 14 of Chase Briscoe said, I like these tires. There's way more grip. I like it. Let's stick with it. So they're going to help him out a little bit. Wants a little more front turn, but Chase Briscoe enjoying it. Regan?
Well, Chase Elliott told his team he was a little too aggressive too early and hurt the right front. He felt like it was going to be the right rear that he had to worry about, not the right front tire. Unfortunately, that made the car get too tight for him, but he did mention that these tires have more grip than the dry tires to him. Said it was pretty wild to his guys. And the 99 of Daniel Suarez out front started off a little bit tight. Team told him the car would come to him as the run went, and that's exactly what it did. And of course, he was the first guy saying, it's too wet, leave the wet tires on, because he was fast.
All right, I'm sure you two will have a look at tires up close, but I had the binoculars on the right front that came off Chase Elliott's car.
There they are. Look at that.
And Elliott's tire still had plenty of tread on it and didn't seem to have any blistering. Jamie.
Yeah, that's exactly right. This is the right front off of Christopher Bell's car that he talked about was just destroyed. And this is the right rear. So you see the difference, but the tread completely gone on that right front.
Shows you that's the right call. That's why NASCAR did what they did and threw this caution. Great call on their behalf.
You talk about how much grip, and we talked about how much faster. Even up about lap 10, we were seeing 6 to 7 seconds a lap of full throttle. Lap 10 last night in practice, it was hard to find anybody that had full throttle anywhere around this racetrack.
But look at what we've just done. Never in the history of NASCAR could we have done what just happened. Starting a race on wet weather tires on a surface that was not dry. We'd be sitting here running jet dryers and air Titans for another hour or so. But we've been able to go racing. Well, hats off to Goodyear and to NASCAR and to these teams for making this work.
And we got a lot of tracks that this is a possibility. All tracks 1 mile and under, excluding Dover and Bristol, plus all of our road courses.
All right, 1 to go. They'll line, because those were non-competitive pit stops. They line back up in the order they were running when the caution waved, lap 33. Suarez, Elliott, Logano, Briscoe, Blaney, Hamlin. Now, Clint, have a look at this for us. The yellow line is practice on slicks in the dry. The blue line is what we just saw with the wet weather tires.
Look at the traction that he has up off the corner. That's, I mean, enough said. Full throttle, just like Larry just alluded to. The traction, the grip level that they have on these wet weather tires is far superior than even the slicks.
20 laps to go. Tire wear should not be a factor over 20 laps, so let her rip.
Chase Elliott, remember how good he was at the beginning of the race when those tires were fresh. He didn't get quite the run off turn 2 that time that he did at the initial start. Tell you who else was glad to see that caution. Kevin Harvick, Eric Jones, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. They were about to get lapped by Daniel Suarez prior to that caution.
Yeah, Kevin's struggling with handling on his car. Denny, I thought Denny, you know, from practice, right, what we learned in practice, those Gibbs cars were really fast.
Joey Logano takes the short way around through turn 4, and it gets him second place. Here comes Briscoe to the inside of Chase Elliott.
Maybe a good adjustment there for Logano. Freed that baby up. Seems like it's rolling the middle way better.
And just remember, it was about 20 laps, which we've got less than that to go, but it was about 20 laps into that first run. That's when Suarez and that 99 car really came to life.
Elliott can't get down. Now he's got Ryan Blaney to the inside and the 11 of Hamlin.
Yeah, just not being able to get down for Chase. Can't get.
Finally gets in line behind Elliott. Elliott behind Hamlin in 6th place, and Christopher Bell trying to take that away.
Can't push it too hard though. The track is drier. I mean, you saw those tires; those things were completely shot. A drier racetrack, they're going to wear even more. I still think you have to manage them a little bit here.
And that just makes me wonder if that's the difference with Chase Elliott in that 9 car, or did they make an adjustment that just did not go the right way? Because now he's lost a spot to Christopher Bell in the 20.
Yeah, Elliott's back to 7th and losing touch with the leaders here.
Just like we saw in that first run, though, Suarez just keeps getting stronger and stronger the longer they go. Putting some distance on Logano behind him.
His center corner speed just looks so much greater than the other competitors.
Yeah, you can see Briscoe putting the pressure on getting in the back of Logano. It's time to go.
Hamlin to the inside of Blaney. That's for 4th place.
And Mike, that all started. Blaney checked up for Briscoe on the exit of turn 2. Hamlin takes advantage of it.
Because Briscoe had Logano jacked up in front of him, stacked him up, spit Blaney out.
Well, remember, every position here is another row forward or backward in the starting lineup tomorrow. And Blaney loses a couple of spots there.
$1 million in the moonshine still on the line. I got to go. I ain't here to make friends.
Bell inside of Hamlin, 4th place, turn 1. Christopher Bell was dog meat in the first half of this race. Boy, they have tuned him up.
It's amazing how well they adapted it. Probably quite a bit of air pressure changes there, Larry, so a lot of wedge out.
And you know what I'm seeing? These drivers turned, almost everybody turned their fastest lap right after that restart.
Daniel Suarez has already run 2 races here this week. Probably got more time on this track than the fellows he's racing against. But second place now looks like Joey Logano is kind of holding up Chase Briscoe and Christopher Bell.
They're definitely holding up Christopher Bell. That 20 car is fast right now. It has really come to life.
This is where you're going to start shifting, trying to use that gearbox to get that car rotated, get a drive up off the corner to beat him at the other end.
And this is where you're not going to play nice. Logano wants to hold on to that second row starting spot tomorrow.
So now the pressure's on Briscoe. He was applying a lot of pressure to Logano. Now he's looking in that mirror about the Christopher Bell coming on his bumper. Got him looking in the mirror. Never a good thing, Larry.
Well, and with Logano and Briscoe holding up Bell, all of a sudden now Denny Hamlin, Ryan Blaney, they pulled right into the back of this group.
5.5 to go. Suarez in a cakewalk now. It's all from Logano on back.
And Mike, you mentioned it. You look Logano back to Blaney, that's a huge difference where you're going to start that all-star race.
Briscoe's going to have to move him. Question is, will he? If he's going to get around him, he's going to have to move him. There's that downshift in Blaney we were talking about. I think you have to, if you're going to lean on him, you're going to have to do it getting into the corner. Get it out from underneath of him, getting in, run him up the racetrack.
3 laps to go.
That's hard to do when you're looking in the rearview mirror.
And Christopher Bell, he realizes I'm faster than these two guys. I just can't find a way to get around them.
Well, he's faster in the wrong areas again. Like I was talking about, you can get in the corner and be faster. You can't go through him unless you're going to go through him. If you're going to hit him and move him up the racetrack, that's one thing. But you got to be able to be better than them up off the corner. That's where you're going to pass.
Might save that bumper for tomorrow.
Don't want to make him mad tonight.
Right. White flag. 1 lap to go.
This Suarez is so fast, he wasn't even in the shot. No. Very impressed with his race car and the job he did. They were ready for the opportunity, and boy, did they pounce on it.
Christopher Bell almost got up beside Briscoe in turn 2 and just couldn't make it stick, had to back out of the throttle.
Daniel Suarez wins qualifying heat number 1 from Joey Logano, Chase Briscoe, Christopher Bell, and Denny Hamlin. Ryan Blaney 6th, Chase Elliott 7th, Kevin Harvick rebounded for 8th, Austin Cindric 9th, Ricky Stenhouse, Eric Jones. That is the way they will line up on the inside lane for the All-Star race tomorrow. All right, that's just the first of 2 qualifying heats tonight. Wet weather tires work for Daniel Suarez. Tomorrow, USFL action continues on FS1 and Fox. First, at noon Eastern, the New Orleans Breakers take on the Philadelphia Stars. That's on FS1. Then at 4 p.m., the New Jersey Generals battle the Houston Gamblers on Fox. Plenty of USFL action tomorrow. From Monterrey, Mexico, Daniel Suarez led 34 laps. Chase Elliott led 26. All Suarez at the finish, with Joey Logano holding back Chase Briscoe, Christopher Bell, and Denny Hamlin. And let's hear from some of the drivers in heat number 1. Regan.
Well, Mike, last night Daniel Suarez pit crew did their job, got you the starting position of number 1 on the pole. Tonight you do your job. You got back around Chase Elliott after he got by you early on in the race, and you never looked back after that.
The car was very fast. You know, I have to thank my guys. They told me, hey, the car is going to be different, maybe a little bit too tight in the beginning and then maybe free, but everyone's going to be fighting who knows what, right? But I have an amazing team, man. We have a great group of people. We haven't been able to show that in the last races, but we have it, and we're fast, and it's going to come to us. I can't thank enough everyone that helped us, you know, to get to this point. Trackhouse, Moroplex, Chevrolet, Coca-Cola, Tootsie's, Quaker State, just so many people, you know, that Freeway Insurance to help us to get to this point in a strong way. So happy to be here, and hopefully we can have a strong performance tomorrow as well.
you guys just did something we haven't seen in the Cup Series on an oval before. That was race with the wet weather tires. What were those tires like? How much fun were they?
Honestly, I feel like we had more grip than with the dries. The dries, they fall off a lot, man, like a lot. And these tires, for some reason, they were a little tighter, but they had so much forward drive. So honestly, I was, if I can pick, obviously, I would pick the rain just because I feel like my car was pretty damn good.
Thanks, Daniel. Congratulations. Jamie?
And Joey Logano brings it home second. And Regan just mentioned, that was history-making. First time ever racing on a treaded tire on an oval. What's your analysis of everything?
It wasn't wet. You probably could have put dries on it. It would have been fine. But, hey, I know we're playing it a little safe for the first time, so I understand that. And overall, hey, racing here at North Wilkesboro is just cool in itself. And so, man, I thought the first run I saved my tires, Jamie, and I was like, okay, and I started kind of like maintaining and catching a 9 at the end, and then the caution came out for some reason. And then I'm like, well, I got to go now. I thought I could beat my amigo on the next restart in front of me for the first couple laps before he took off, and I burnt everything up, and then I was playing defense the rest of the race. So it's fun because you gotta play it smart inside the car. You gotta have a strategy, and if you make the wrong decision, you pay the price when it comes to tire wear, especially with these rain tires on. So it's a fun race, and overall, hey, we're starting third with the Shell Pennzoil Mustang for $1 million tomorrow night, so I feel good about it.
Yes, let's fast forward. You know how to get the job done and win an all-star race, but you mentioned it, North Wilkesboro. What is tomorrow night going to look like? What's the racing? Give us a little insider information.
I don't care as long as our car's up front. I'm sure it's going to be great. There's going to be a lot of tire wear, so the strategy is really going to come into play, especially towards the end, that last 100 laps there with the amount of tires that's going to be left. There's going to be a hard decision. Either way, it's a gamble, depending on when you put your tires on, right? If you put them on with 50 to go, you put them on with 20 to go. Either way, it's a gamble depending on how the race plays out. So none of us know, and there's no history really to go back on to see unless we go back to 96, and I don't think that's a really good reference anymore. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Things are a little bit different from that long ago. Joey Logano excited for tomorrow night, Regan.
Well, Chase Elliott started the race off very strong, led early on, and looked like your car was near perfect early on in the early stages. Then we had the pit stop, and things didn't go so well after that.
Yeah, well, Daniel was good before the pit stop. I was already kind of starting to fall off. Then we had our stop, and we tried to make it a little better, and then I thought maybe taking a chance for the top would have been a good move, and probably wasn't so much a good move, looking back on it. But, yeah, it was interesting. The tire was really nice. The track's pretty much dry other than just some areas where I think it's got some weepers. But I don't know that this wouldn't be a better race with those tires than it would our slick. So if the race sucks the first half tomorrow, maybe we should all come in and put on these things and finish it out this way.
Lots of good ideas coming from down here. Thanks, Chase. Jamie?
And Christopher Bell, one of those, I think you had probably the fastest car, maybe second fastest car, especially after the adjustment there, but you just couldn't get around those guys. Will you move them tomorrow night for $1 million?
Oh, yeah. The number one goal my guys told me before I got in was we need to race this car tomorrow. So just trying to keep it clean, and then obviously that was a complete experiment. Nobody knew how it was going to be, and fortunately it was, I don't know, I thought it went pretty good. I almost blew it right front there in the first part of the race, but we got 60 laps in.
Thanks, Christopher. Mike?
Thanks, Jamie. Now, qualifying heat number 2 is lined up and ready to go in North Wilkesboro, North Carolina. Fans of all ages have come to the reopening of North Wilkesboro Speedway. Not sure that toddler is going to remember tonight, but the parents and the grandparents, I'm sure, will fill them in for the next generation or so of being part of one great weekend. So, qualifying heat number 2, Chris Buescher had the fast stop last night, the pit crew competition. He earns the pole. Austin Dillon will be outside for heat number 2.
This is a stacked heat race. Not taking anything away from Suarez and the job they did, but man, I'm telling you, Ross Chastain Everybody's seen Ross Chastain in the last month and a half. Larson, truck winner today. Truex was really fast in practice. The key to this is trying to learn. Hopefully I had Bubba Wallace. That 23 car right there was extremely fast, as was Keselowski, starting back in the pack because of problems in that qualifying format yesterday.
Yeah, not only Brad, but Kyle Busch and Tyler Reddick all had violations during the pit stop challenge to put them in the back of the field for this heat.
I don't want to take anything away from Heat 1. This is a stacked deck right here in this heat.
Oh, yeah.
So the big question NASCAR is wrestling with right now is, will Heat 2 start on slick tires or wet weather tires? We'll investigate further when we come back. NASCAR's core fans are here at North Wilkesboro. This place was packed earlier for the truck race. I think the rain sent a few people home, quite a few in fact, but this hardy crowd is here for qualifying heat number 2. Jamie.
Well, Mike, Kyle Larson had never seen this track in person until yesterday when he showed up. Didn't even do simulation for it, but he did enter the Truck Series race, and he ran that earlier today, and he dominated, picking up his 3rd career victory in that series. And I just talked to his crew chief, Cliff Daniels, and I said, so what do you think? There's no rain, kind of straightforward. You'll be on slicks. He said, I want it to rain. I think it would be fun to get to put those tires on. I think he was listening to all the drivers and teams and how much fun that experience was. So either way, you know, Kyle Larson and the number 5 team are going to be a threat in this heat race. Regan?
Well, Jamie, Brad Keselowski was all smiles yesterday after practice. He was 2nd quickest, and the race car felt great to him. The one thing he and the team said that they needed to figure out, though, was what they needed for a long-run balance, how tight they had to start the race car off to end up good as they got to the end of a longer run in the event that we would get one. They were anticipating doing that right now in this heat race. Still a little bit of undecision, though, if we're going to have wet weather tires or dry tires. I checked with Matt McCall. He said he really wants to put the dries on so they can get that read on the race car that they need for tomorrow night.
Well, NASCAR still has not yet made a decision on which tires will be used. They did have track dryers out briefly. They said they're going to run the cars around for a few exploratory laps here and then make a decision. William Byron set to battle in this qualifying heat number 2 with Ross Chastain. The field forms up behind the pace car for qualifying heat number 2, and NASCAR has made the call. These cars will stay on slicks. The track is dry, so 60 laps, cautions and green all count. Only one overtime attempt if needed, and this will set the outside lane for tomorrow's all-star race.
Huge advantage for these teams in this second heat, Larry.
It is, but old Larry Mack got exactly what I wanted to see. I wanted to see a race with the wet weather tires, but I wanted to see a race tonight with these slicks because this is what we're going to be racing tomorrow night. This will give us a feel and a measuring stick about how much fall off these things will have.
That's those easy answers you was looking for. That other group that just went out on the wet weathers, they're shaking their heads, scratching it for sure.
All right, Buescher has elected the inside, as we expect every leader to do on every restart this weekend.
These RFK cars are the real deal this weekend.
They've been the real deal a lot this year.
Sure have.
All right, field rounds out at turn number 4. Green flag. 60 laps.
I don't think we'll see them testing the waters too far out of that second groove now with these slicks on.
I think Austin actually got in the wall right in the middle of the back straightaway. Austin Dillon. Yeah, and you're going to see a lot more fall off. That's for sure. These cars are going to be slipping and sliding around.
First 6 got single file in a hurry.
See, Brad Keselowski in that 6, he was testing the waters, but he looks like he's going to pay the price to Kyle Busch in the 8.
No man's land. Cannot be on that outside. I'm going to re-rack and start over, right? It's like we were talking about, Buescher way off to an early lead here. Langston, that's 1/10 and a half faster than the competition. Going to have to manage that, though. No need to get out there too far.
Kyle Busch outside Tyler Reddick is going to move up a spot to 8th. No, Reddick fights back on the inside, back at the end of the line there.
But the lap times are definitely slower than that last race that was on the wet weather tire.
Not only are they slower, you can see them slipping and sliding around, and that's going to tell me that all I need to know about fall off. It's going to be greater too. Who would ever thought we was going to put wet weather tires on and go faster, have more grip?
And they only have one set of stickers laying in the pits to change during this 60-lap race.
You know, we talk about the advantage, you know, of this heat race running on these slick tires for tomorrow night's conditions. All 3 Penske cars were all in that first heat race. That camp's going to be the ones that are really wondering where to go for tomorrow night.
Well, they're going to have to confer with RFK because Buescher and Keselowski are both in this race, and they'll be the only Fords already qualified for the All-Star race that have the knowledge of what's going to happen here on slick tires.
There ain't no way for $1 million I'm going to give you my information. No chance.
Well, Ross Chastain in that one car, he went way up the racetrack that last time through 3 and 4, and that let Larson in that 5 just pull right up to him. Now Larson is to the inside.
Oh, come on. These two again? Always?
Yeah, right.
They were running together today near the end of the truck race.
Right.
This is just short track racing at North Wilkesboro. You're going to have to do that. If you're not prepared to rough somebody up, get them elbows up and get your hands dirty, you're not going to have success on this racetrack.
And Clint, that hadn't changed since the 70s, 80s, or 90s.
Check your feelings at the gate.
But back then, Larry, was it the same 2 drivers every race?
Seemed like every time we came here with Ricky Rudd and Dale Earnhardt, they seemed to find each other.
Yeah, come to think of it, you're right.
There you can really see the difference in the track where it's dry and not.
Yeah, I mean, we've run 9 laps, and we've got well over a half a second, pushing toward 3/4 of a second of fall off. That's North Wilkesboro right there.
Martin Truex got right up to the bumper of Kyle Larson a lap ago. Now there's a car length between them. And Bubba Wallace trying to close on that group. Chris Buescher having it all his own way for these first 11 laps.
Again, takes me back to the truck race. It's the only race I've watched. I watched, you know, talking to Dale Earnhardt Jr. last night about the late models even. You know, how to manage these runs. How much to pull that old thoroughbred back before you take off and run. Patience and discipline behind that management of the tires and the fall off. That's so important. This lap 10 to lap 20, 25, this is where you just kind of got to take care of it, because if this baby goes green on past then, it's really going to differentiate lap times and when they start slipping sliding around.
How about our leader, Jamie?
Chris Buescher could certainly be a threat tomorrow night for the $1 million. Remember, he's one of 3 drivers that did the tire test here in March, so he got that good intel. Also, last night in the Pit Crew Challenge, his team got it done and got him that P1 starting position for tonight. The car is good. Short tracks are his specialty. I'd watch that 17.
Yeah, and Jamie, the other 2 drivers that were part of that tire test, they're in this heat as well. Austin Dillon in the 3 and Tyler Reddick in the 45.
15 laps in, you're starting to see William Byron getting closer to that 3 car. I'm hearing that the 5 car is actually running 4th gear all the way around the racetrack. It's like a 4,000 RPM difference.
And that's about what most of them were doing in practice last night.
At Martinsville, the similarly sized track on the circuit, the straightaways are longer, the turns are much tighter, and shifting is almost a must. But here, with these wide radius corners and the way you sweep these corners, you don't have the RPM fall off that you have at Martinsville that requires shifting, do you?
No, you can see that around this racetrack. Kind of a momentum, for a short track, if you will, a momentum short track. You just don't have that stop and go corner speed like you were talking about, Mike. But I like the fact that they're shifting, but that also, ripping that thing up off the corners and abusing those rear tires when a downshift in fourth gear or something like that. That's hard on those tires.
Exactly, and I think that's one reason in practice we just didn't see a lot of that shifting, just trying to take care of those rear tires especially.
The only two drivers I see whose lap times have not fallen off a full second are Chastain and Larson. They've fallen off about 7/10, whereas the leaders have fallen off a full second from the start of this race.
And there is so much to be said about short run speed and long run speed. And in the perfect world, you could have both, but that is a fine line, a razor blade.
Heat race win. Number 1, Suarez, that man's teammate. Where was he the strongest? On a long run.
Long run.
20 laps this time by. 40 to go.
Did your marks lap time look good?
Right now, Chris Buescher, his times have dropped off compared to the 2 or 3 drivers behind him. He came back a little bit that lap right there, but he was about a 10th off second, third, and fourth the 2 laps prior to that.
As fast as he took off and ran and hid, that doesn't surprise me.
Larry, if your driver had a 1.3 second lead after 20 laps here, what would you be telling him?
Take care of that thing. Take care of that car. I'll keep you posted on the interval.
Exactly. William Byron in third, 1.6 seconds back, lapping at 21.77, right even with Austin Dillon.
Start telling me to save fuel or something out there, Larry?
Not worried about the fuel.
I know, but slow down. You don't want me to abuse those tires. You got to tell me something that's going to resonate, make me want to back off this baby.
Well, the one thing I'm going to tell you, unless we get a caution, you've got what you've got.
It's so important, though, and easy to do. You're out here leading a big race that's setting up for the big dance tomorrow night. Man, a little bit's getting you here. A little bit more is going to get you everything.
Caution is on the speedway.
Clint, come get you 4 tires.
Well,
24 laps complete, 36 to go.
And you better have a wedge wrench in some of these guys' hands.
Well, somebody saw a raindrop or two. And that is the reason for the caution. Okay, what do you want to do now?
Well, we're 6 laps from halfway. There's no question that you want to come get tires. Absolutely, because when you've only got 10 drivers in a race, the chance of a caution coming is few and far between. And if you stay out on these tires right here, they will absolutely eat your lunch.
So looking across the way at Austin Dillon's pit, they have slicks up on the wall. If they were to switch to wet weather tires, that would be a NASCAR mandate and a non-competitive pit stop. If we're staying with slick tires, still waiting for word if this would be a competitive pit stop or not as usual.
Now I see wet weather tires.
Well, this will be a non-competitive pit stop for wet weather tires.
So these teams that get to experience both, these drivers.
Okay. Well, I'm happy now because although the first heat drivers did not experience slicks, they did in practice. And now the second heat drivers and teams will have the experience of the wet weather tires.
And those teams and drivers in that first heat, they got to see the same score and monitor that we saw how much fall off there was with those slicks.
All right, so wet weather tires will be on these cars when we come back. Chris Buescher has led every one of 26 laps so far. Welcome back to North Wilkesboro, North Carolina, where pit road is open as rain falls. Regan.
Well, Mike Ross Chastain's only complaint about his car was that it was too loose into the corners, in particular turn 3. They had the slicks up, and then the call was made that rain tires are going to go on instead. That's exactly what they did, an adjustment for the too loose in. Jamie?
Austin Dillon in the 3 said he's free, but the forward drive has been really good. That's the best part. The 24, William Byron, a little bit tight. He ran the truck race earlier today, a little extra lap time. And Chris Buescher, who's led every lap, said he's been good, but they slowed down so much with the tire fall up. Not sure what to change, but they couldn't make changes. They just put those new tires on.
And again, this is a NASCAR mandate, is to put on the wet weather tires. So this is a non-competitive pit stop, and they will line back up the way they were running as of the last lap completed under green.
It's raining more than I thought it was. Looking up in the lights, definitely coming down pretty good, isn't it, Larry?
It is. We need to get this thing back started pretty quick.
We are a lap shy of halfway in qualifying heat number 2. Now, NASCAR told us earlier today that if they are unable to complete both qualifying heats, then the All-Star race lineup would be set from last night's Pit Crew Challenge. You can't just take the heat results from one and the Pit Crew Challenge results from the other. So we have now crossed halfway in this heat race. So I am guessing if they would have to red flag it, it would be an official race since we passed halfway. But that's supposition on our part.
Such a challenge to try to figure out what to do. You know, now you're switching tires again. You heard that loose end comment. All right, well, we're going to tighten you up a little bit, but I know these tires are probably going to do that. So
exactly.
I'm going to have to be careful not to over-adjust, overcompensate.
Wipers at the ready. Rain lights on. And wet weather tires fitted to these 10 cars. Everybody's still on the lead lap. Buescher, Dillon, Byron, the first 3. Chastain, Larson, Truex, Wallace, Reddick, Keselowski, and Busch.
We don't see anybody with the wipers on. They really coat these windshields with Rain-X and things of that nature. And you know how your windshield will repel water when you use a good coat of Rain-X on your passenger car.
And you also need, you know, you've got, hey, let's face it, you got debris out there, rubber on your windshield, stuff like that you've been racing, competing 29 laps, into this race. Much just like you need rain on there to turn the windshield wipers on. If it's raining hard enough, I want those wipers, but right now it might smear.
Looking for the 1 to go sign at the flag stand, and there it is. We will go back to green in 1 lap.
Well, Austin Dillon looked like he was debating, but William Byron, he's going to jump to the outside. He was running in 3rd. Again, remember in that first heat, seemed like the second groove worked with the wet weather tire.
I like that gamble. William Byron, watch this outside. Might work.
If the track was dry and we were on slicks, no chance. But whole new ball game here with a wet track and the wet weather tires.
Yeah, Austin Dillon, he looked like he debated for a second, and at the last minute, he went ahead and jumped to the inside.
Oh, what a beautiful view of nighttime at North Wilkesboro. The efforts of Marcus Smith and his Speedway Motorsports staff to revive this racetrack and get us ready to race and hold the All-Star event tomorrow. 33 complete this time by green flag. Byron on the outside of Buescher, and Buescher got the jump.
Yeah, Austin Dillon in the 3 did not get a good jump. That has opened the door for William Byron in that 24 to jump up to 2nd.
Chastain on the outside of Dillon there. Race for 3rd. Rolling the outside good, just like we saw in that first heat, Larry.
Yeah, he got a great run through the second groove of turns 3 and 4 that time, but here comes Larson in that 5.
It's amazing. The center corner speed difference, you can noticeably see it. I don't even need to look at a lap time.
Chastain and Truex on the outside trying to make something happen, and it looks like they've got just as much grip out there as anybody does on the bottom.
Yeah, pretty much everybody in the field just turned their fastest lap of the race right there.
It just seems like they keep everybody out there when they go away from you is in a traffic jam with those lights on.
Truex crosses over to the bottom. He's going to try to get Chastain that way and doesn't clear him.
Chastain, you said it, man. He is really struggling on that outside. Needs to get down, can't get down. Freight train's coming.
Yeah, at first he looked like he was going to be able to make something happen, but it's not been good these last 2 or 3 laps.
Bubba Wallace's cars woke up as well.
Whole new experience for these NASCAR Cup drivers racing in the rain on an oval track.
And the rain has not picked up, but it's still that heavy mist that we saw when the caution came out.
Single file through the field now with Keselowski applying the bumper to Truex at the entrance to turn 1. Not quite close enough in 3.
But I'm telling you, 2nd to 7th, they are absolutely nose to tail.
Buescher again able to pull away a bit, this time by about 4 car lengths.
Mike, you mentioned him, Brad Keselowski back there in that 6. He's fast, but he's just hemmed in back there behind about 5 or 6 cars.
I think Larson's starting to work on Austin Dillon for 3rd. Rolls into the corner. There's a bump shot right in the middle of the corner. He's rolling in and through the middle better than Austin.
Keselowski inside Truex. And they both slide up the racetrack just a bit in 2. Keselowski pulls away. 6th place.
That's what Brad's going to have to do. He's just going to have to try to work on them one at a time as he pulls up to that 23 car now of Bubba Wallace.
Slides it off the corner. Keselowski does. Looks to the inside, and Bubba slams the door in his face.
Bubba feels the pressure because he is immediately right back on the bumper of Larson. Time to go. I've got pressure. Sorry, coming through.
Yep.
Put the bumper to him. Got underneath of him here.
Sleep on the 6.
Excuse me, pardon me. Need some room.
And Brad Keselowski, he wants to stay with that 23 car. Bubba opened the door. Brad wants to walk through it with him, and
Larson
he wheeled down the back straightaway.
Larson caught the wall a little bit there.
Well, Larson's in trouble here. There is no way to get to the inside where he is.
It's tight. Having trouble getting rotated into the throttle.
He loses a spot to Keselowski and to Truex.
Keselowski's cars really woke up here.
Wow,
there you saw
that's a pretty
it.
hard hit.
Yeah, right up off turn 2.
15 to go. Chris Buescher has led every lap. Keselowski up against Bubba Wallace. This is for 4th place, and remember, every position gained or lost is another row on the starting grid.
RFK, this Keselowski's got the car. He can compete with this Buescher. Those cars are fast. He can make some hay here. Quick time with Bubba Wallace. He'll be on Austin Dillon's bumper as well.
A pit crew miscue last night had Keselowski starting this race from the back. Trying to make up for that here.
Brad got a great run off turn 2, just not enough to get back down to turn 3 with him.
Flip side of that, you see Bubba Wallace. He was out of that grip patch, having trouble keeping it on the bottom. Brad's going to try to do a crossover here.
Kyle Busch starting to make some noise as he and Chastain go at it. Back for 9th spot. Kyle makes the pass. Clint, a note Keselowski coming off these corners is really running the car off the right rear tire. Wonder how many laps it's gonna hold up doing that.
Well, I think that will be fine. The one that I'm worried about, you know, when you start talking about lack of stagger, is that right front. You can lean on the right front so much more getting into the corner, rolling through the middle, and the balance of the car is really tight. You can see there's a lot of wheel in the center of the corner for all of these cars. The right front's my concern.
Kyle Busch has passed Tyler Reddick. That moves Kyle up to 8th place.
And right now, it seems like Brad Keselowski in the 6th, he can get down to the middle of the corner, but he pays the price on the exit, especially off turn 2.
Yeah, he's going to, again, the way it goes through him. You're going to have to move him. He's faster, rolls the center better, rolls in better.
9 laps to go this time. Best race on the track is 4th place. Bubba Wallace, Brad Keselowski.
Bubba's a little loose into the corner. Just a little bit of love on that back bumper. You'd move him up the racetrack. You can see how much faster Brad is getting into the corner. But just like you said, Larry, struggles to get off the corner to make a pass. There he's loose. That's his opportunity. Have to be careful with that, though. As loose as he is, you could turn him around. Getting into 1, Bubba's definitely, you see how tight he is up off the corner? Almost got in the fence. There it is.
There.
Got him moved up out of the groove. Good run down the front straightaway.
2nd place heating up. Austin Dillon to the inside on the 24. William Byron back to 3rd.
Well, guess what? Keselowski finally moved him. Got into him, getting into 1, moved him up the racetrack. Rest is history. Time to go. 7 to go. It was time.
But that was textbook right there.
Yep.
Textbook.
Just enough. Didn't turn him around.
And those two, Keselowski and Wallace, are just fast enough that Martin Truex cannot quite get to either one of them.
But you know, Mike, you mentioned it. I go back to Daniel Suarez that won that first heat race, and I look at Chris Buescher leading this one now, coming back around to 4 to go. It all started with the pit crew challenge last night, with the job those crews did to get these drivers to be able to start up front.
Fantastic job. Now, Kyle Busch has now passed Kyle Larson, moving Busch up to 7th, and Ross Chastain moves past a fading Tyler Reddick with 4 to go.
This track sure has some of these teams scratching their head. Probably not going to sleep very good. I mean, Tyler Reddick, you know, that kid can flat get the job done. That car has been extremely fast this year. Teammates fast, they're struggling.
Kyle Busch wants 1 more spot. He wants Martin Truex and got right to Truex's bumper coming out of turn 2. They'll be coming to 2 to go.
Yeah, Clint, I know we expected more out of Kyle Larson, Ross Chastain, Tyler Reddick, but I do take into consideration we're in an environment we will not be in tomorrow night. That's on these wet weather tires.
Yeah, this was, I mean, obviously a little bit in the forecast, so had it in the back of your mind, but man, surely it won't rain.
White flag.
Don't call me Shirley. White flag for Chris Buescher, the Prosper, Texas driver. For Roush Fenway, Keselowski Racing has led every lap of this 2nd heat.
Such a great point, though. Love the team aspect of this. Total team effort all across the board. Still taking care of business. Boys, we're going to start up front just because of the job you did last night. Thank you very much.
Checkered flag.
Good job, man.
Buescher.
Yeah, guys. Heck of a job.
On it. RFK.
Chris Buescher, Scott Graves and company have earned themselves a front row spot to race for $1 million. We'll be back to North Wilkesboro right after this.
The fan zone is open at 11 a.m.
Chris Buescher led every lap. Car owner Brad Keselowski with congratulations. Brad finished 4th. Buescher the winner. Big night for RFK Racing here in North Wilkesboro. Jamie.
And a dominating performance by Chris Buescher. Your pit crew gets it done last night. You get it done tonight. But when the rain started falling and you guys put these tires on, you sounded hesitant. What was that restart like?
Well, I liked our Fastenal Mustang on slicks. I was really happy with it. So I didn't want to put reins on. I felt like it was still pretty dry out there, and it actually stayed dry through the end. But I get it was starting to drizzle a little bit, but I don't know, the car was good on wets too, so I'm not over here complaining anymore. Our guys did a great job. I Picker didn't get to show what they could do without competitive stops, but I guarantee they'd have gotten it done there too on if we'd had green live stops. Just proud of this group. That's a heck of a start. Felt really good about this thing in practice. Feel even better about it now. So it's slicks or wets. We're going to be just fine.
What'd you learn about this racetrack that you can apply to tomorrow night to perhaps come home in the P1 spot and get that $1 million?
That I want to race here every weekend. This is awesome. It's fantastic. I'm so stoked to be here to see the evolution of this place from the Dale Jr. cleanup day till now. It's remarkable. So it's a lot of fun. There's character, right? That's what it is. There's patches everywhere. There's cracks everywhere. The apron's rough. I mean, it's a little bit of everything. It just gives it a lot of options. A way to have a lot of fun. Gives us options as drivers too, and I don't know. I'm just really happy with it. I think we're in a good place for tomorrow. Definitely going to be thinking about those longer runs that we're going to be into, right? With very few tires, we're going to be looking for that long run speed. So tried to get a read on it today, be easy on them, and see what it would do, and I'm happy with it.
Congrats. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Thank you.
Regan.
Well, Austin Dillon started second. He finished his second. A little bit of battling in the middle there as well. Rain tires, slick tires, seemed like your car was good with both on there. What do you have to battle for that $1 million tomorrow night?
Yeah, our Res 3 Chevy was pretty good. I had a lot of fun out there tonight. It was weird because the rain tires were so much better than we got a light show going on here, but the rain tires were so much better than the regular slicks that I didn't know how hard I could go, and I was kind of saving there for a minute. And I saw the 24 start to struggle. I was like, oh, we're going to run down 17. And when I got clear, the 24 started coming. He changed his line a little bit, picked up some speed. So got to go back and look at what he was doing. Seemed like he had a little wider arc than us. I was kind of running a low lane off of 4. So it's cool when you can move around on the track, find subtle things, and then save tires. But the rain tires were very surprising. I think that was cool. And think of our partners. We got Bass Pro Shops, Coca-Cola, everybody that helps us get to the track.
Austin Dillon will start the All-Star race in 4th tomorrow night.
So the results of the first heat set the inside row. Heat 2 sets the outside for the 200-lap All-Star race with a competition caution right around halfway. And, of course, $1 million to the All-Star race winner. That'll all happen here tomorrow on FS1. But before the All-Star race, we'll have the Open. Here's the starting lineup for the All-Star race. Daniel Suarez won Heat 1. Chris Buescher Heat 2, and the way they finish is the way they start. Heat 1 on the inside lane, Heat 2 on the outside.
Got some surprises up there, Larry. I like that. Got some big names back here. The other flip side of a surprise. Look, Kyle Larson, Kevin Harvick, Chase Elliott, all come. Kyle Busch, all winners. And, have won this season, really struggling to find some speed and some grip and handling in their race cars.
I want to go back to something Chris Buescher said, because last night, yes, practice, slick tires, he was very good. 10, 20, 30 lap average.
Correct. Now, before the All-Star race tomorrow, we'll have the All-Star Open. 100 laps with a competition caution somewhere around lap 40. Top 2 finishers and the fan vote winner will transfer into the All-Star race. All laps count. You'll start on sticker tires, and Ty Gibbs will lead them to green. And most impressively, when his team was fastest in the Pit Crew Challenge, he named them all and congratulated them all by name. Attaboy.
And the last thing you want to do, all these drivers living about an hour to the south, is have to drive home and watch the All-Star race on FS1, not making it to the big event.
Well, only 3 will transfer. I think the Open has the potential to be the most action-packed race of tomorrow.
That's because exactly what Larry said. Last thing I want to do is be sitting on my own couch watching the boys do what I ought to be doing.
Brand new generation Musco lighting system here. They've been having some fun with that, with all the colored display as the folks file out. Now tomorrow, the All-Star Open, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on FS1. Race day at 7 to get you ready for the All-Star race at 8. And we're putting the band back together. DW is going to join us.
How about that?
Jamie Mack for the Open.
Might even get a boogity, boogity, boogity.
You think?
Cannot wait for tomorrow night.
So we've had wet weather tires under green flag racing during rain at North Wilkesboro. And what a great show it was. Congratulations, Daniel Suarez and Chris Buescher. who have won the front row starting spots for a chance to win $1 million in tomorrow's NASCAR All-Star Race on FS1.